the past couple of years, I've talked a lot about menopause and perimenopause, talked a little bit about aging and how, as we get older, how does society treat us? How are we represented in the media and the entertainment industry? Today, I've asked my dear friend Julie Cole, co-founder of Mabel's Labels, to join me because Julie has another great perspective, as she always does. Um, Julie is, a known entrepreneur. She's mentored many women. She's a great speaker. She was my previous podcast and video host. And Julie talks about, looking at aging through our life and how we are impacted, as we go decade to decade. What if we have a personal brand? What if we own a company? How do we stay relevant to that as we get older and in a positive way? Julie is founder of Mabel's Labels, as I said, and Mabel's Labels is a children's brand. So Julie now has 6 kids who are in university and mostly out of the house. How does she stay connected to a brand that is speaking to new moms when she is a mom of kids who are fully grown? So Julie's got some really great advice, some really great pearls of wisdom, and she's going to share them with you. So tune in. Julie, how are you?
I'm great, Jack. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's been a long time since you and I did a podcast together.
It's so true. Remember the good old times from when we did Unsolicited Moms? I loved all of that.
Yes, and we also had the whole gang together when we did
Yes.
our other podcast. One thing that has remained consistent, even though our podcast has changed, is you as the founder of Maple Labels. And, you've always given me great career advice, and I always see you on social media giving other people really sound advice. So today I'm going to hit you up for some advice about midlife, owning a brand. How does
Mhm.
that brand grow as you grow from, an early young entrepreneur and mother into the stage you're at now? Do you want to
To
give
the
a little?
old hag that I am now.
You- You're anything but old. I see you doing the F45 workouts every morning. I have to swipe past you because you make me feel guilty.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. I actually, you know what? It's so funny how even with workouts, like that has changed. Like I used to like to be fit, so I looked good in my clothes. Now I'm just like, I'm in my 50s. I'm like, I want to be able to cut my own toenails when I'm in my 80s. I don't want to have a fall. I'm like, my motivation is completely different.
Yeah, absolutely. And I
Yeah,
mean,
I just don't want to lose muscle. Like I do worry about my muscle mass going down with menopause. Like that is something. So I don't do cardio because I do worry about cortisol levels, but I do work on those muscles.
yeah, a lot of strength training, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that F45 is a pretty like serious workout. I'm pretty impressed by you.
You know what? I think it's like anything. When I first started, I was like, oh gosh, like I haven't done this in a while. But I don't think anyone should be intimidated by anything. Like what I do, I modify.
Yeah.
Today there's an exercise I don't like. I've got a bit of a funny knee, a little osteoarthritis in my right knee. So
Oh,
if anything bunks that knee, I do something else. Or I've got this right shoulder that bunks me, I modify. I have no desire to ever do chin-ups without help, without a strap. And my goal in attending, I know myself well enough to know that if I'm really sore and if I get bored and I hate it, I won't go back. So
yes.
I do everythm to avoid that, so I just keep turning up. So I make sure I like my workouts, and you can modify anything.
Oh, great. Great.
Light weights, do whatever you want, just go.
Yeah, I do it at home. Our dear friend Susie from Fat Fit, she got
Yeah.
me on an at-home regimen. So I'm using my weights and resistance
See,
band.
I know myself too, I won't do that.
Yeah.
Like, I learned through COVID that, like, you do have to know yourself, and I think that is one great thing about aging too, is that you get to know yourself and you accept yourself. Like, I know I'm not gonna do the workout at home, so I need a place that's got time several times a day. Because I was going to one and they only had one class, 7 a.m., and I'm like, "Well, I still drive kids to school and stuff," so that didn't
Yeah.
work. So, I need a place that's got lots of classes during the day to fit my really, really still wild schedule. And here's the other weird thing I know about myself. I have to pay for it. I need skin in the game. And if I
Really?
pay, then I turn up, and I turn up a lot because I'm like, oh, since I've gone 5 times this week, now it's only cost me $5 a class or whatever,
Oh my
like I
God.
play that game with myself.
But that's really smart because see, like I like classes versus workouts because I'm more competitive. So
Right.
when I see other people in the class doing better than me, I want to like up my ante. But if you
Right.
leave me to just do a workout, I'm totally gonna cheat and I'm gonna
Yeah.
lighten the weights and then I'm gonna get out of there as soon as humanly possible. But
Well, and the other thing too, and I mean, you might be able to relate to this, is that I am extroverted, right? So there is a social piece to it. Like I like going there. I don't want somebody chatting to me the whole time I'm working out. That I'm not
yes.
down with. But, before class starts, having a little catch up with the friendly folks and just kind of, and even I find like when I'm partnered with somebody, sometimes I'll be like, you know what, Julia, I think you're probably ready to go up. Like, this is just somebody in the class. I think you could go the next level in weights. I think you should push yourself. And I'm be like, yeah, that's a really good point. I'm going to do it. So for me, there is the social stuff is important too. So I do realize the in person, having flexibility with time, paying for it, and having humans
Yeah.
around, those are all things I need, which is why at home didn't work for me.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's a really good insight.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm better when I come home from the morning after a dog walk, getting Maddie to school. I will like throw down my mat because it's right near my laptop and I will do a 20-minute workout. And then
That's
I'm
good.
excited because then I can have my coffee and then I
Yeah.
can go on with my day and I'm a little more energetic.
Well, and also, I mean, I think you've weaved in the fact that you're working with our friend Susie, who's awesome. But there's a bit of accountability there too,
Oh
right?
God, yeah. She does not
Right.
let you off the hook.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
And some of
know.
us need that. So again, like I do think one of the joys, like when our work lives, our personal lives, everything is that as we get older, we know what works for us. And then we're not wasting time. We just get right down to what
Yeah.
is working for us. And we've learned that through experimentation, right?
Yeah. That brings me to a great segue. You started off as a lawyer in your
Mhm.
career. And then you moved over and you had this brilliant idea with your partners to start Mabel's Labels. So
Right.
you kind of knew what was going to work for you, even from a really early age, right? Like you had all these kids
Mhm.
and you took a huge risk, which is impressive. And you started a brand, a global brand. Like that's no easy feat.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it was one of those things, you're right, started it, I was a young mom, product missing from the market, but the real like impetus here or catalyst was that, my eldest child had just turned 3, was diagnosed with autism. I didn't think the traditional workforce was going to suit
Yeah.
me or my family any longer. I needed to be able to advocate, set up program for him. So did the shift. And you know what? Yes, risky and all that, but keep in mind I had 3 partners. And definitely, like, spreading the risk around over 4 is, was a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So your Mabel's labels, of course, we see them everywhere. I use them for everything. I just gotta tell you,
Yeah,
like,
you do.
oh my God. I when we have a street party, my Mabel's labels goes on all my pots and everything, so I get them back. I put them on my coat, so when I go to a party and everyone throws their coat on the bed, I
Oh.
find mine right away because everyone's got a black pea coat, right?
Everybody's got the black coat. Yeah, no, it's so true. And you know what? It's interesting, Jack, too. Like, I think about some of our original customers who like are like you, or like, we had kids and we bought our labels. And a lot of our original, like little ones are actually parents now. So our original customers often now are buying actually for their seniors
Oh wow, yeah,
because a lot of
yeah.
their parents are going into
Go to a
care
nursing
homes or
home
going to
or
day programs. So we've seen like our OGs are back and they're buying for their,
oh my
so they're
God.
doing the sandwich generation thing. But of course, we have all our new moms, and it's been a lot of fun watching our customer base change and the different from our,
Yeah.
boomers to our Gen X's to our millennials and Gen Zs. Like it's interesting.
That's awesome. Wow,
Yeah.
what an evolution. I do have to tell you another use for my Mabel's labels is Maddie, my daughter, has my old iPhone. And when everybody's out, for drinks or at a party and everyone throws a phone on the table, right?
Oh yeah.
So I have my Mabel's labels on the back.
We're matching. Me too, baby.
My other favorite use is that Maddie's got a double bed and we have a king, but we used to have a queen. everyone's got white fitted sheets, and I hate folding fitted sheets, but I
Yeah.
really, really get mad when I unfold a double
Oh, don't
for
even.
a
I know.
queen.
Look,
So
yeah,
I have Mabel's labels on our fitted sheets, so I know which ones are hers and which
totally.
ones are mine.
We've got a family cottage. So yeah, same thing. We've got, actually, I've got stamps that say, like, I've got the clothing stamp, but it says queen, double, and single. And I've stamped all of the sheets at the cottage. But it is funny too, though it didn't protect the IT department. I nabbed one of their mics and it says Mabel's Labels IT department, but this is at my home. Don't tell my nerds. Do not tell my
I will not tell anyone on
nerds.
this private podcast. So tell me a bit about Mabel's and its evolution because you are the personality behind the brand.
Mm.
And how has that changed from having young kids to like all your kids are doing amazing now and they're all like in school
They're
or out of school. Like
big.
they're
Oh my
yeah,
God, they're big. They're
they are
big.
big. They're
It's
not littles
wild.
anymore.
Yeah, like 4 at university now. So keep buying labels, people. Keep buying labels. Got a lot of tuition to pay around here. Um, so yeah, it is interesting, because like when Mabel's Labels started, it was, almost 22 years ago, in the basement. And keep in mind too, that was like before social media. So we learned early that word of mouth was so huge. Word of mom, people were talking about our products like, daycare drop-offs and dance recitals and everywhere else. And really like being visible and being out there was important. And we know how moms make purchasing decisions. They want to feel connected to the brand. They don't want nameless, faceless. They want a human. And visibility creates credibility. We know all this stuff as marketers, and especially in that marketing and mom space. So then when social media happened, it was awesome for us because it brought word of mom online. Moms were all doing the mom blogs. They owned Facebook. We were doing giveaways on everybody's little different communities. And, really it was like that early influencer stuff. Now in those days, like for me, I was that mom. I was that mom who I was pushing around a triple stroller for 3 years. I changed diapers for 12 and a half years straight, either one, two, or three people at once. So I was very immersed in parenthood, like our customers. And because of that, there was always that connection. They were like, oh, well, we want to support this brand. They're also trying to get through the day without smelling like baby vomit, right? Like it was relatable. And that is something that mom customers like. And that's why I started blogging. Like 20 years ago, I wasn't blogging about labels. I was blogging about, being an autism mom, being a mom of many, just little funny things that were happening around here, how I kept humor. So, and it was a way really to make those connections. So not only is making connections good for business, it's also a heck of a lot of fun. And for a personality like mine, when you're so passionate about the company that you co-founded and you love your customers, it's a dream. It's a dream. Um, but to your point, I'm in my 50s now, right? Like my kids are at university. My baby who, we started this when he turned 3, turned 25 last
My
month.
God.
Like I've got ginormous humans, right? So, how does that change as far as Mabel's Labels goes? Well, I'm still there. I'm still the company spokesperson. People love a founder or co-founder or CEO to be that person, that touch point for them with the brand. But when I speak, when I come from more like a seasoned mom perspective or a seasoned entrepreneur. Like I was recently, somebody was like, oh, I want to nominate you for this top something. And I'm like, I'm good. Like I don't need it. Like I'm good. I'd rather like help somebody else get that award or whatever. So I just feel like I'm kind of coming from this other place. And of course, our market, you go where your market is. So the moms all like our age, Jack, we were all on Facebook. Well, now
Mhm.
our customers are not. Like our customers are on, like that used to be our busiest. We have like
Yeah.
250,000 Facebook fans, but now they're all on Instagram and TikTok. So am I going to go and blog about, a diaper explosion? No. Am I going to go and talk about what's stroller I like best because I'm pushing one? No, because I'm not. Do I still create content? Absolutely. And honestly, it kind of comes like a lot of the content at Mabel's Labels now. It's pretty hilarious, like the way they'll weave me in, like to some of the trends. They'll do that, oh, you should just go have a look at the Mabel's Instagram, the way they pull me, and I just do as I'm told. But then, if then they also get involved. They also, like the young marketing team members will do a lot of like FaceTime on TikTok and on Instagram. And
Yeah.
we'll do team things. It's not just all about me on our social media, because I think it's really important also that I'm just honest about, who I am, where I'm at, and I'm not going to pretend to be in a stage of my life that I'm not.
Yeah, and I think that that shouldn't be an issue. Like when I look at the workplace and I look at ageism, I think it's kind of it's such a double-edged sword because you want someone with experience, but then they think, oh, well, the younger kids, they know the trends more and they know social media and the platforms, and maybe that's true. But the thing is when you're talking like you're talking about parents now, you're still talking to young parents, but now you can talk to parents whose kids who are maybe becoming empty nesters soon, etc. But you can talk about that because you've already been there. But a young marketer hasn't been where you are. You've been where they are, but
Right.
they have not been where you are. So you bring like, that hope to parents who are in those early phases that, I remember people telling me it's a phase. I promise it'll be over.
Yeah.
Like you give them that hope and look,
Yeah.
you're gonna have two hands again soon and you're gonna
Right.
be able to like go out again and start things and do things again.
Yeah, but you also have to be very careful because, you don't want to be that like mother-in-law who's like, in my day, or, oh, the kid'll be just fine. Like you also have to stay very like sort of up on and learn, now like where was gentle parenting when we were raising our kids, eh, Jack? Like, there's all these new trends, there's things, and I do keep learning, and I think that's
Hmm.
an important thing too, and know when to you got to know when to like not say, oh, the days are long, but the years go quickly. When you're in that day, you can't
Yeah, yeah.
hear that.
The
You don't
day
want to hear
is
that. So we
long.
do have to really remember what it was like. And I mean, I know it's going to go fast, but do you think a mom with 3 kids under 3 is thinking that at that moment? No, no, she's not. Because I know for me, I wasn't even doing one day at a time. My day was in 20-minute chunks. I'm like, in 20 minutes, somebody won't be hungry. Somebody won't be drinking bleach under the sink. 20 minutes. Like it was 20 minutes. A day was too long for me.
Yeah.
I had to chunk it down. So you have to also be really careful that you don't turn into that, like, person.
Hmm.
So I think it's great. Like I think to bring in the young people who are up on the trends. And also it saves me, like, I don't have to, they'll be like, okay, Julie, we're doing this. Here's you go. Bah, bah, bah. Like, I need you to do this. And I'm like, great. Like they're keeping up with all that stuff. They're pulling me in. And we all have a role, we all have a role, and it works.
Yeah, yeah. So now that you are, like you've been in business for a couple of decades now, looking back to where you started and where you are now, what would you say, some of the big learning moments have been for you?
Oh gosh. There's there's so many. But I will say, you really, couple of things, I guess I would say. Again, coming from sort of an extrovert, but your network is your net worth. Like honestly, your connections, those human connections, especially I think now as we're moving into like a more AI, like customers really want to stay connected to you. Your
Yeah.
personal brand is so very, very important to your business. I mean, we always knew that. We always, recognized and honored that. And I think, knowing what the next generation is going to be looking for, sustainability is so huge. That's going to
Hmm.
drive a lot of most purchasing decisions for Gen Z. So you want to really make sure you're keeping an eye on all of that stuff. And I think that's something that we did. We always innovated. We always kept our finger on the pulse. We never really kind of sat back and went like, wow, we've come this far, so we're good. Like we always wanted to go further. We always wanted to grow. If you're the smartest person in the room, get a new room, that sort of thing. So I think just always doing that from a young age and then not stopping. Don't get to our age and be like, okay, well, I'm done now. I'm good. I mean, you can, but you're not good. Like your business isn't going to do better. You're not going to feel like, I don't know, each to their own. That's for me. I need to always keep moving forward. Um, I think too, like the other big learning at this stage, when I think about like my personal brand that we've talked about, how it's evolved over time,
Yeah.
is that a lot of people, obviously, through the years, you're going to mold and you're going to change and you're going to grow. And so is your personal brand. And you need to be thinking about that. But the most important thing to me, and I kind of alluded to it earlier, is that it's okay. You're allowed to change. You're allowed to get old. You're allowed to grow. All of that is important, but just be authentic about it. Don't try to hide it. Don't try to pretend you're somebody you're not. And if you are authentic about it, your people will stick around. They'll still
Yeah.
follow. They're still engaged. They still want, they care about you. You've built these relationships over the years. So don't be so afraid that you're like aging out. I mean, I've got a children's product, right? And I'm in my
Hmm.
50s. Don't be so afraid of aging out. Remember that with each age and stage that you are, you're bringing something to the table. So bring it.
Yeah. I mean, you still know what you knew, but now you
Yeah.
know more. So, your more your experience is like getting more and deeper and deeper, and you're
Yeah.
growing and growing like that. That wisdom is only going to impact the people that come up behind you too, right?
Yep. For
You're
sure.
also a great mentor. Like you've mentored a lot of people.
Mhm.
And I think, like that's a really important part of aging that we don't talk about. Other cultures talk about it. Elders become, the keepers, they become the caregivers, and they play the most important role in the hierarchy. We don't treat women like that in our society. And yet
Right.
we are the ones who
I
bring
want to be an
all of
old crone. I want to be the crone.
I want to
But
start a coven.
yeah, exactly. And that's part of why, like, I just think a big part of, as this journey progresses is like making life easier for people. That's why I wrote my book, like full of, life hacks and business hacks and parenting hacks. Like no need to reinvent the wheel. If I can save you some time here, I
Yeah.
will.
Yeah, and that's actually where I think like the wisdom of, someone who's older and has gone through the ages and stages can
Mhm.
give you that great advice, can give you those like things to shave off time, things to like life hacks that we've
Yeah,
learned, but not just like the physical life hacks, but the emotional ones too.
for sure.
The things that feel like they're really like weighing us down. We realize that one day we're gonna think that that was just nothing when we look back, and it wasn't.
It's
But you got to
true.
go through
Yeah.
it. You got to go through
Yeah.
it. I just think like your input has been really inspiring because as I get older and now I'm talking about menopause all the
Mhm.
time, I think, oh, I'm talking
Well,
about
thankfully, it's
menopause.
getting talked about at long last. I mean,
Yeah.
I think about my mother, like, it was all just like, "Oh, well, good luck with that."
Yeah.
Uh-uh,
It is what it is.
awful. I think about how much gaslighting had happened, like,
Yeah.
probably still happening. You probably know more about this than I do, but, I mean, I just feel like I'm in a position where I can self-advocate. I say to my doctor, I'm like, "Hey, Deb, I want this. I checked it." Like,
Yeah.
thankfully,
But a lot of
but
women don't because in our
yeah,
parents' generation, you never questioned your doctor. But your
right.
doctor is not trained in menopause, so now you do have to question and you do
That's
have
right.
to create a bigger care circle for yourself.
Luckily, I have a woman doctor who is in menopause, so I always give my business to the women when I can.
I do have a female doctor. I feel more comfortable
Yeah,
now with that.
love it.
Julie, I can't thank you enough. It's so great to see you again.
You
And
too,
and
Jack.
thanks for that great advice.
You bet, you bet. Always great talking to you, and thanks for having these important conversations.